Hey guys, so again for another video. This is number 3 for the day. There's only one other one that I need to film, but anyway, let's get on with today's video theme, and that is my top 15 books of 2015. Now, I was trying to figure out the best way to talk about my favorite books of the year, and I really liked how last year they did, top 14 books of 2014. So I know this can't go on for long, but there were so many that I read that I liked, because I read 65 books in the year of 2015, and I had to choose my 15 favorites out of all of those. So it was a bit hard, but anyway, I've got a list, and I'm going to put it in order of my from the bottom of my favorites to the top to the most ultimate favorite book. And I'm really excited about this, so let's get started. Now, number 15 on my list is Hush Hush by Becca Fitzpatrick. Now, I really enjoyed the first book, but I enjoyed the whole series. What I'm going to do is I'll just add the first book, but it probably does mean the whole. I'm going to just show the first book, but it kind of does mean the whole series, but I'm just going to say first book for this list. But I really like the idea of the fallen angels in this, and the way, and I really liked Nora's character. She could be a bit annoying, but she had good qualities to her. She fought for stuff and fought for other people, and I really liked Patch, and I really liked that his name is Patch, because that's just such a unique name. I really enjoy that he's named Patch. Number 14 on my list is The Bane Chronicles by Cassandra Clare, and I know this isn't actually just one book, it's 11 short stories, but I really enjoyed getting this insight into it's flashing there. I really enjoyed getting this insight into Magnus's life and how he handled things, and how his perspective from seeing some of the characters that we know in the other two series. So it was really enjoyable. This was just a really good novella companion thing. Number 13 on my list is Snow Like Ashes by Sarah Rash. Now, this is just making it on the list because of the cover, but the book was also really great. It took a bit of getting into for me, just because stuff was happening and I was like, I don't know what's going on. But then the plot became really great, interesting, and really enjoyable, and I liked the characters, and it was just really interesting, and I'm excited to hopefully get the next book soon. I already have so many others to read, but hopefully we'll get the next book soon. Number 12 on my list is Amy and Roger's Epic Detour by Morgan Manson. Yep, make sure I get the right author. Now, this was a great book, and this was a book that I've been wanting to read for so long, and when I finally got it, I dropped everything and started reading it, and it was amazing. I really want to get more of Morgan Manson's books now, because I really enjoyed this one. And I really liked the self-discovery in this book of Amy, trying to figure out how she can deal with her life after her father's death, and how Roger's there to help her get through it. Not that it's he's there to, actually there to help her get through it, but he gives her this adventure of a lifetime practically, and they go around America for a bit, and they go to all these different areas, and it was really interesting of how how their relationship developed, and they got a really nice friendship, and it was a really good book. I really enjoyed it. Number 11 on my list is 1,000 Pieces of You by Claudia Gray. Now, this is such an interesting book, I think. It's about dimensional time travel. So it's about dimensional travel. It's not time travel, but you're going to different worlds. You're going to different worlds where things are different. There's all these different universes of stuff. You could go to a place where the Nazis actually won the war, and that's how the world is. Or you could seriously go to a place where someone got assassinated, but in your own world they didn't, or stuff like that. Just have totally different stuff. Have a really advanced world or have a really under advanced world, but it's all in the same time. So but there are all these worlds around the 21st century, and it's just such an interesting concept. And I've read the first and the second book, and I'm really excited for the third book to come out. But I really liked the characters in this, and the plot was interesting, and it's just a very interesting book. Number 10 on my list is Lola and the Boy Next Door, and I know this is the second book in this trilogy of books, but I enjoyed Lola and the Boy Next Door the most out of Anna and the French Kiss and Isla and the Happily Ever After. This was just such a great book, and I really liked how you know, the main character already has a boyfriend, but there's this other guy that's just like, no, you come on please, you gotta give me a chance, you don't want to be with this other guy. Like, I really enjoyed that, and I loved how Lola had this amazing sense in fashion, and she just made a lot of her own clothes. Like, that's really cool that, like, people still make their own clothes. I don't. I knit stuff like gloves or hats or scarves, but it's not really my own clothes, pretty much. And I also really liked Cricket, and I mean, that's a really cool name. I really like his name. But I really liked him in a way he dressed as well. Like, he was just so fancy. But this was a great book. Number 9 on my list is Attachments by Rainbow Rowell. Then I really loved the concept of this book, how it's, you know, an IT guy, and he looks at their, and his job is to look at red flagged emails to see if anyone's doing anything bad. And some people, and two women who get flagged are Beth and Jennifer, and their conversations are hilarious. Like, they just talk about the most randomest things, and they get flagged all the time, but they don't get flagged for anything serious, but they still get flagged just because of the language they use. And it's really interesting because Lincoln starts falling in love with one of them, and it's just, you're rooting for this to happen the whole book, and it's just amazing. Number 8 on my list is The Winner's Curse by Maria Rotowska. I'm gonna get your Rotowska. I hope I'm saying the name right. I have so many issues with trying to say some of the names that are a bit harder. I really liked how this, I really like that it's called The Winner's Curse. Like, I think that's really great. But I love that this has got slaves in it. Like, I know slaves aren't great, but I really like that Kestrel bought Aaron as her slave, and, like, you know, they practically, how most books happen is that people fall in love and then stuff just happens and it's not okay to fall in love. But I really loved the characters in this and the way the book went, like, carried out. And the second book, The Winner's Crime, is just as good. And I can't wait for the third one, The Winner's Kiss, to come out. I think it comes out in March, so it's like, yes, come out. Number 7 on my list is Forbidden by Siri James and Ryan M. James. And again, I think this is written by a couple, and it's like so cute. But I really liked this. It's about fallen angels, but it's more of the guardian angel aspect of fallen angels. But I really enjoyed this book. I loved it, the romance in it. It was so corny, and I loved it so much. And the characters are great, like, and the villain was great in this as well, and there was a lot of, like, discovery in this book, and I hope that there's a second one. At first I thought it was only a standalone, but there is actually a second one happening. I'm so pumped. I don't know how long it's going to take to come out, but when it does, I will be there reading it. Number 6 on my list is White Hot Kiss by Jennifer L. Armentrout, and I loved this trilogy. Like, Stone Cold Touch and Every Last Breath were amazing as well, but I just loved the demon aspect in this and how there's gargoyles in it. You don't get gargoyles in books very much, but it's interesting too how the main character Layla is half demon, half gargoyle, and her power is that if anyone kisses her, she takes their souls. Like, that's pretty interesting, I would say. And I really enjoyed this book, and I love Roth, my hubby. I love him so much, and he's such a great character. And I really like Layla as well, so there's so many great characters in this series. Number 5 on my list is This is Throne of Glass by Sarah J Maas, and I love this entire series. It's so great. But I really loved, the book series has gotten so crazy and so different from the first book. Like, I really enjoyed the first book and how it was just, you know, practically Hunger Games, pretty much. But it's about a girl who was in prison for a year, but she's being allowed to come out because she's going to compete in this competition to become the king's assassin. Now, I think that's really cool because she's already an assassin, one of the best, and she's such a good assassin, but it's also, it's so good, she's so kick-ass, and so much stuff happens in this series, like, and the books are just amazing, and they're so big. Like, this one's really tiny, but they get so in-depth and involved and just amazing. I love Sarah J Maas's writing, and this book is just amazing. Number 4 on my list is A Court of Thorns and Roses, also by Sarah J Maas, and this is a retelling of Beauty and the Beast. And a lot of people don't think it's like as great a retelling, but I think it was done really well. Like, I love how the aspect of the Beast is that and this is like of the Beast and all of the people, is that they have masquerade masks stuck to their faces that they can't take off. It's been like that for 50 years, and I think that's really interesting. But I really liked with this book that Feyre absolutely hates everything to do with him or the people there. And it's really interesting too. It's like Beauty and the Beast retelling, but it's also about fairies and the Fae, and there's a lot of stuff happening in this book, and I just can't wait for the second one to come out. A Court of Mist and Fury, like how great does that sound? And I'm just loving that they're keeping the A Court bit, so it's gonna be great, so I'm excited. Number 3 on my list is The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. Now, I talk about this book quite a lot, but there was 2 others that were a bit ahead of this one in my favourites. But I still really enjoyed the elements of magic in this book, and the split point of views and just the way it all played out. Like, it's such a different book and it's written so differently, and you don't really know anything going into it, but I just really, really enjoyed this. It's one of the best books that I read this year. I loved it so much. It was just so great. It was so great. Number 2 on my list is A Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. And I mean, I loved this book so much. And I just love this cover, and I love that it's so big, and just, so much about this book is amazing. And I really love how where your place in society is based on what color blood you have, because you can either have red blood or you can have silver blood, and that like tells you where you are in the world. And red bloods are just commoners, but silver bloods actually have superpowers pretty much. It's like a mix between like X-Men and then just a monarchy. I really enjoyed this, and I love Rose. She is a red blood, but she has the power to control electricity. And that's really interesting, and I really enjoyed this book and how she gets, like, they pretend that she's a lost princess and she's got to try and not bleed or show who she is. And so much happens, and I mean that plot twist at the end, I just did not see that coming, and it was just like, but I really thoroughly enjoyed this book. Now on to my number 1 book for the year of 2015, and I'm pretty sure if you've been with my channel for a while, you're going to know that it is The Wrath of the Dawn by Renee Ahdieh. I loved this book. I just absolutely loved it. I gave it 5 stars, 5 out of 5. Oh, loved it so much. So much. This was just amazing, this book. And it's a retelling of 1001 Nights. And before this book, I didn't know what the story of 1001 Nights was. But this, and I looked it up halfway through reading the book, and I was just like, oh, makes sense. But this was such a good retelling, and it's about a kingdom where there's a boy prince, a boy king, and every night he takes a new bride, and by morning the bride's been killed. And this goes on for a few months, and the main character Shahrazad, when her best friend was one of these brides and got killed, she volunteers to be the next bride, and she's going to find out why this is happening, and she is going to try and stop it, like she wants to stop him. But then as she starts to realize that everything isn't as it seems, she starts realizing that, you know, there's stuff that she can't figure it, like there's stuff that it's what's happening so much bigger than just her, and it's just this plot is so great. Every character is amazing in this book, and I can't wait for The Rose and the Dagger to come out. Like, it's just ultimate book need. So these are my favorite books that I read in the year 2015. But anyway guys, thanks for watching my video, and I'll see you later.